Hi, welcome to our channel. Neuron is all you need. So this is the second part of the series, the individual penal code that we have seen in the first part. So in the last part, we have just stopped it here. We're just trying to focus on four aspects of IPC. Now in this part, we'll look at how it gets written into each individual. Yeah, let us start. So first, we all know as Indians what is Indian Penal Code. The Indian Penal Code is a system where we have a set of rules, clauses to decide which is a crime or which is acceptable uh, behavior, right? Which attracts some punishment. So there are certain code of laws and articles that has combined and they form Indian Penal Code. And all the citizens are judged against this IPC, the same code, which is applicable to everyone. And let's say, now this is IPC. Now imagine there is a code which is very unique to each person, unique, and there it is judged against that person's IPC, and that IPC is not shared, right? So that is what individual penal code. And this individual penal code is not only, it's not a legal system, but it basically has its own mechanism to detect what is a normal behavior against what is an insulting behavior. This is IPC. This is for each individual has a different code of treating it is something is normal and something is insulting, right? Similarly, what is respect and against what is disrespect. And this IPC, this individual penal code has a clauses, and this varies from each persons to person. Similarly, what silence means. For some, silence means peace, or for some, silence means it's a rejection, right? So this is an IPC which is individual specific, and someone treats a compliment as a sincerity, and someone may treat compliment as a manipulation. It is the same word, same sentence, but based on each individual IPC, they experience different feeling. And how it gets written into you, that is the main focus of this this session recording. Essentially, there are four sources from which this IPC gets formed into each individual human being. The first one is the society and upbringing, and the second source is movies and the social media or any other part of the media. And then third, the personal interactions that we do regularly or on day-to-day basis, and the situations that we encounter as part of our daily job routine. And then finally, the decisions and opinions we form and reinforce. Right? So we'll just look at all these four aspects in a moment. So the first is the society and upbringing. Let's say you were brought up in a family where loud voice is equal to fear, right? Somebody has threatened you with a loud voice. So you add a clause saying that if the tone is loud, it becomes a fear or threat. And if some other person has, uh, let's say, grown up in a family where they are very expressive and they're using the loud voices regularly in every interaction, then that person will add a clause saying that loud voice is expressive. So it is the same tone, but the two different persons have added a different clauses. That is with respect to upbringing in a certain family. So next second is the movies and the media. So if you're watching a movies, right, you will learn how a hero looks like, how a villain looks like, what is the tone of villain looks like, right? These are all you experience before you get into the real relationships. They all form a idea, right? So let's say a hero is very silent, then you add a clause saying that silence means the strength. In some other part of the society, you watch a different set of movies, then you add a class saying that silence equal to indifferent to emotions. So it is different part of the planet, right? This is how you add clauses, articles, or different conditions, the type of movies you watch, and the type of opinions you form. And then third is personal interactions and the situations. So if you interact, let's say you interact with a close friend, and the close friend actually betrayed you after a compliment, immediate compliment, then you add a clause saying that if somebody compliments before a favor or request, you say they are something manipulating, right? And some other may be treated as a genuine class. It all depends on each personal interactions and the experience that they have gone through in certain situations. And the last one is decisions and opinions we form and reinforce. Let's say you, as part of one experience, you took a decision, and let's say it already worked, it works. Then you reinforce saying that this is the decision is proper for every such situation. So you essentially you strengthen that decision making. So using these four parts, you have a unique IPC, right? And you are not getting any IPC by birth. So all these are formed and trained based on the situations that you encounter from your birth to till date. So this is the story of IPC, and they all get written into you unconsciously most of the time, right? And we will see there is a historical evidence and there is scientific proof. And in Indian context, even the other context, there are systems that are built how this is get written into, right? I am choosing this one thing from the Gautama, the Buddha system, where he explained how this gets written into you after every interaction or every situation that you encounter, right? And then uh, the, there are many other systems which explains this neural pathways, how they are getting formed after every, after every interaction, essentially. So we'll discuss these aspects because there are many theories that has formed to reinforce this concept, but I chose this because it sound more logical and this more sound like a clinical history and clinical evidence behind this. So this is the next part. Now let us look at these five parts where the Buddhism has proposed. One is Rupa, Vedana, Sana, Sankhara, and Vijnana. Let's try to understand and interpret these forms with an example. The first one is the form, the Rupa. The form is what you visualize in a scene. It may be any person, situation, or anything that you see from your senses, five senses. That becomes the raw event or object. Let's say it could be the traffic, the one that you've seen there, it is a traffic, or it could be a message that has not been unanswered or replied, right? Or it could be some tone, a voice, loud tone or some voice. So that becomes a raw event. Still, you've not made anything out of it, it becomes a raw event. Once you see that raw event, then you suddenly you get a feeling, right? That feeling could be pleasant or unpleasant, or it could be neutral tone, based on your past history of that such form, right? So once you get that form feeling, then the sana will come into play, where it recognizes, it goes through your memory past system, uh, and performs some search, and then it perceives and recognizes, and it gives a label to it, right? The actual label. I've seen this, so this is an insult, or this is a prize, this is a compliment, or it could be a threat, or it could be some other good. So everything happens in sana. The actual labeling process happens in sana, right? Then once you perceive it, then the actual uh, reaction happens immediately. That is sankara, right? Sankara, maybe if you see the traffic, you may feel irritation, or somebody immediately honk the horn, right? Or some other person may listen to the songs, right? Because they know the traffic, they cannot do anything about the traffic. So that is sankara. What actually reaction happens, the intention, body, everything happens, right? And then Vijnana is the actual consciousness on which all these events happen, and it records everything, right? And then it carries forward to the next moment, so next event, right? Basically, the history is maintained here in Vijnana as part of consciousness. So these are the 5 events. It happens, almost in a fraction of second, right? The way the feeling happens in a fraction of second. For example, if you're in a kitchen, you're at a gas stove. Let's say you got your hand is near to the flame, and you immediately pull the hand, right? You don't think it's burning, your mind processing. No, nothing happens. It happens in a fraction of second, right? So that is what Vedana. And now everything, this all happens in a even fraction of second, right? Then accordingly, your neural pathways are built, right? And let's say you're facing traffic, and it's negative. You're feeling irritation. So a path is made like this, negative. And then Sankara reacts to it. Then Vijnana has carried forwarded it. And Vijnana and Sankara, they work together hand in hand, because they reinforces the pathway. Let's say you encounter the same traffic situation next week or some other time, and again you feel the same irritation, then this path strengthens, right? So every time you get the path, every time you encounter the same situation, and Vijnana and Sankara both work together and try to make this path very strengthened, right? Similarly, some other person, it may be just listening to the songs, so they will relax and their path becomes strengthened, that neural path. So this all happens in a fraction of seconds, and every moment your neural networks forms, right? And this, in Indian context, they call it as karma. In Buddhism, called it karma, something like that. And essentially, this is karma is not a rewarding system, not a punishment system. It essentially your neural network. You are just forming the pathways, so that whenever you encounter the same person, or you see the same situation, same behavior, right? Your neural pathways just takes to that, and it just flows. These are all highways, you can say. The event flows to the highway event, and you get the reaction immediately, right? Most of the human beings operate at an unconscious level. They don't recognize this happening at a conscious process. So why I'm trying to explain this is, my hope is that when something goes wrong, you have to understand, instead of saying why this is happening to me, or why this person is wrong, why this person is behaving that way. So instead, you ask, what is the IPC that is going through his mind, his or her mind. So that way you can make a distance between the IPC of that person, and you also understand your own IPC, so that this shift, this a paradigm shift, will make you, it will make you the difference in how you deal with the people, how you deal with the situation going forward, right? So that is the major reason I am trying to put this forth. Yeah. And then this becomes your neural network, right? There are other systems that explain this process, but this one seems to be more logical. And then also your religious system or the culture that you're born into, that also has also contributed much to your IPC, because they have their own rules and regulations, the punishment, right? What is good and what is bad, everything is structured in the religious text and religious preachings. So that's how every person has their own IPC, their own individual penal code, through which they try to judge the other person, form the opinions on the other human beings, right? This is how IPC is written into you, and it tries to operate from the place of this neural network, or you can call it these five systems, right?